Today Baba is underlining again and again that it is our duty, the duty of every child, to give Baba's introduction to everyone. But first, let me ask myself, do I realize the fortune of knowing Baba? Because you see, if you have the intoxication that you've found Baba, then you will have the interest or the urge to give Baba's introduction to everyone. But if I myself don't realize that finding Baba is the highest attainment, then I wouldn't have the urge to tell everybody, introduce everybody to Baba. So I have to first ask myself, when we meet Baba, so Baba says there's a song which plays in the heart of the children who realize who they have found. And those children sing that Pana tha so palia, which means I have found whatever I was seeking. And there is nothing else to find. So, does that song come from the heart? You have to check yourself, because you see, there are many limited desires which people hold very highly, and then you don't have the discernment to appreciate this greatest attainment that we have. Because you see, sometimes you get something by accident, and although the law says that you don't get anything without doing something for it, so we become Brahmins because we have done 63 births of bhakti, and we've been very good devotees, but in this birth, most of us, we don't remember it. And because we don't remember it, so most of the times, many children, they just found Baba. They were introduced to Baba. So when you find something which is very valuable, but you are not consciously looking for it, sometimes you don't appreciate it. Yes, and that happens in most cases. So, have you met people who are looking for Baba, who are looking for God? So there are people who leave their homes and hearths and they are looking for God, searching for God. And, I met one person, and he lives in Banaras, and he has been living there for around 7-8 years, and he came from California, and he's in India, and he's barely eating. He doesn't have resources, and he's living a very hard life in terms of physical provisions and all, but he's just staying there. And he came, and he was living somewhere close to the center, and he saw the center, so he just came, and he was talking to me, and he said that I want to find God, and God is everything, and God is the highest. So I gave him the introduction of Baba. But what I want to point out is, you see, people are looking for God, and Those who are looking for God, those who know that, God is the highest, they spend all their lives, working towards it and seeking it. But Baba says, you have found Baba. And now Baba is one thought away. So, of course, we found Baba, but we have to make the effort of one thought. 1 second, one thought. That is the effort we have to make. And then we get everything from Baba. So Baba is here for me. Baba is showering his treasures on me. And Baba is giving me all that I need. And all I need is, virtues and powers and knowledge. And everything else that I think I need is a byproduct of this. But if you keep hankering after the byproduct and not the main thing, it's like watering the leaves and branches and not knowing that you have to water the root and the seed. So that is the level of ignorance we have, and maybe that's why we don't appreciate finding Baba so much. Because, although we feel that who is there, which child of Baba doesn't appreciate finding Baba, but the fact that this is not the first thing we tell everybody. The fact that I am not introducing everyone to Baba, and I'm not, that is not my first urge. That fact shows that I don't understand the importance of Baba in my life. Because if I knew that, then the first thing I would do is introduce them to Baba, and especially my loved ones, especially, and if I know Baba, then everybody would be my loved ones because every child is a child of Baba. So do I understand that the greatest attainment is knowing Baba, finding Baba, and the greatest service, the greatest gift that you could give to anybody is to introduce them to Baba. And Baba says it's not just the gift you give or the service you do, it's your duty to introduce everyone to Baba. Because you see, when you get prasad from a temple, so you know that you can't eat it alone, you have to share it. So, you have to share it. That's your duty. That's that's the practice. So, Baba says that you cannot have the knowledge and you cannot know Baba and not introduce him to your brothers and sisters. That's not how it works. That's your duty. You've got the introduction of Baba, you're taking Baba's inheritance, and it's your duty to share this with every child of Baba. Now, whether they receive it or not, whether they make their fortune or not, is their decision, their choice. But my job, my duty is to give the introduction. Because if I didn't do it, then it's on me. And if I did it and they didn't receive it, then it's on them. So it's my duty to give the introduction of Baba. So are you doing that duty? And do you know that, if somebody blamed you tomorrow that you did not give me the introduction, then how would you feel? And there was this one brother, I'll tell you this, I have shared this story earlier also. He lived in a very close proximity to the center. It's just 2 to 3 kilometers away from the center. And he had a friend, and you have this compartmentalization in your head that this is my friend and this is not this is not my seva place where I do seva. And then, you just, he used to be very ordinary with his friends and never give Baba's introduction or share any knowledge with his friends. And with his friends, he never even conducted himself as a BK. So, but he was a good brother. Other aspects of him, he woke up at Amrit Vela, he was reading the Murli, he was doing everything. But with his friends, there was this, maybe this sense of shame or something, I don't know, but he never did that. Or, I don't know, the mind functions in very weird ways, so I don't know what was his thought. But then he never came across as a BK before his friends. Now, what happened is, his friend, he committed suicide all of a sudden. And when his friend committed suicide, then his friend's wife, the first thing she did is she came running to his place and she held him by the collar and she said, you go to the center every day, you learn knowledge, you are meditating, but you never helped your friend. You never tried to put him on the straight path. And it's on you, don't forget that. And he was so shaken up by that episode, he came running to the center. And then he sat in Baba's room and he just cried and cried. And then he was really disturbed. And then he asked me whether it is on him. So I said, no, it's not on you. You just, but the fact is, whenever he listens to the Murli, and the Murli says that you are responsible and people will, accuse you if you do not introduce them to Baba at the right time, they will, at the end, they will accuse you. Whenever he reads the Murli, that day he cannot live with himself. And it's been, 7 years, 8 years, but he always tells me, Didi, you tell me it's not on me, but the Baba tells this. So I said, but you see, Baba also says, put the past behind and put a full stop to the past, but learn the lesson, don't do it again. But feeling guilty or feeling remorse is not the solution. So I'm sharing this with you because, it's very important to understand that Baba's introduction matters so much. And, Baba says that we all are souls and there is only one Father. Every soul is a brother to each other. No soul can give the brother soul what they actually need. However much you try, you may have a lot of love in your heart, you may be willing to surrender your life for somebody, but you are not enough. You cannot give any soul what they really need. And I have seen that, there are people who are their best. They surrender their life to another person. They do whatever they can for that person. But can they really make another person happy and content? They can only feed their ego. But you cannot give anybody the peace, the love, the contentment that they are really seeking. Maybe they don't know, they don't even know that they are seeking it. Most people, they don't know that they are seeking it because they have never tasted it, so they are not going after it. But the fact is that no soul can give another soul the inheritance that they are seeking from Baba. And you have to introduce every soul to Baba. And just think about the number of souls, even in your immediate family. even in your immediate family, the ones you say you're very attached to, the ones you say you care for, have you introduced them to Baba? Have you given the introduction of Baba to them? And do you think that any attainment or any relationship can help them more than Baba? So that is something that you need to understand, and every soul has to take their inheritance from Baba. And if I am not giving the introduction, then there is some selfish interest because of which I am trying to keep that soul as a source of gratification for myself, and I'm not helping them belong to Baba. So this is something that we have to pay attention to. I'll share another story with you. So there was this one Mata, and she was not in Gyan, but she was, she just knew from all the videos that she saw on the internet that you must remember God, and God is a point of light. That much she understood from the videos. And so when she was so the husband left her, and she had no parents. The parents were not alive, and the husband left her, and she was left with the child. So the child and the Mata, they were the two people at home. And then this Mata used to work and fend for the child. Now the child was murdered by somebody, and he was a 5-year-old child. And when that Mata came to the center for the first time, so it was a case in Delhi which was in the papers and all, it was a big case. So when she came to Baba, so she was all, she was crying all day and night because she lost the only child she had. But when she started talking to me, she told me something which was which made me think about it for a long time. And she told me that, Didi, when my child died, the first thought was that I had taught him to remember God. And because you see, we were the only two people left with each other, there was nobody else. So I had this thought that if I die someday, then he will be left alone. So I thought then, who do I hand him over to? Because I had no family. So I thought that, God is everybody's parent. So let me tell him about God. So because I couldn't go to the center because I was not busy and she laughed and she said, now I'm free, you see, I'm coming. So that time I was busy. So she said, I couldn't come to God. I couldn't understand who he really is. But one thing I always told him is that God is a point of light, and whenever you are in trouble, whenever you are alone, just think that that one is with you. And when I used to go back from office, I used to tell him that, I used to ask him, did you think about God all day? Did you keep him company? So was he with you? So he would say yes. And she said, I don't know what he meant by that, but he always said yes. And when I found his dead body, so the first thought I had was, maybe he thought about God in the last moment, and maybe I fulfilled my duty as a mother, and that's the only thing that keeps me alive. And she said, I have no reason to be alive today because I've lost all my purpose, but this one thing gives me the strength to be alive. I'm not that broken that I would go and commit suicide, because I have that faith and happiness that at least I gave this much to my child. And that day, that whole day, I just thought that maybe I also don't understand the importance of although I'm giving the introduction of Baba all day, but maybe I didn't realize that importance until that day. And that day, it was an eye opener for me. And there was another time when I really realized that giving Baba's introduction is so important. So there was a case in Delhi where, there is a town called Burari, and there are family. So there was a person in the family, and he was giving something to the family, and he called it spiritual teachings. And subsequently, he led everybody to commit suicide. So they committed mass suicide on the directions of that man. And that was under the guise of spirituality. So he said, I'm getting some messages from God or something. It is a very popular case. It was there in the papers. There are documentaries made out of it, which are there on OTT platforms, and all of that is there. So when I heard about that, then also, I felt that it's so important for everybody to know who God is, what He says, what He doesn't say, what are God's directions, what are not God's directions. Because, if you don't know what is true, then anybody telling you anything, you have to believe it. And if you don't learn it from Baba, that I tell you to do this and I tell you to abstain from this, I'm not giving you any other direction, then you have clarity that other directions are coming from human minds. But if you're not learning from Baba, then you don't know what God is actually telling, and then you invest your faith in any person. And people are vicious. People are vicious, and even if they don't have conscious evil intents, they are just wired that way that they cannot do good to you. So they want to do good to you, but they are themselves in so much of falsehood that they fail to do that. And it is so important for everybody to know that God doesn't tell you to do any of the practices that people are doing. Those are human beings telling you. Just look at how many people are, when there is there is these days there's the Kumbh, and there are so many people thronging there, and just look at how much trouble they are creating for themselves and others. And there are stampedes in the stations, and so much is happening. And for what? If you look at the core, everybody wants to meet God. Everybody wants to purify themselves. But Baba says, no, you can't purify yourself like that. The only method to purify yourself is consider yourself to be a soul and remember Baba. And if you did not introduce everyone to this truth, then what happens is, anybody telling that you can get purified in this and that manner, they start doing it. Yes, and you can burn your sins by killing yourself, you can burn your sins by bathing yourself. So this is the way people are doing it, because we are not telling them the right way to do it. Now, if they don't accept, fine, it's on them. But if you don't tell them, it's on you. So Baba says it is very, very important that we introduce everyone to Baba. And that is the only thing, that is the only seva that you can do, and that is the only seva that you will be proud of doing in the final moments of your life. You may give anybody your time, you can give anybody your companionship, you can give anybody your wealth, you can give anybody anything, you can give them resources, but at the end, none of that will serve them. What will serve them is the introduction of Baba that you gave them. So this is something that Baba tells, and there is this thing, Didi, if I introduce Baba to my family members, they will think that something is wrong with me. So let them think, why are you thinking about what they will think? If you think about what other people will think, that's a sign of ego. What is ego? You thinking about what the other person will think is a sign of ego. And you doing your thing and they thinking is their karma. So you don't have to think about what they would think. And I remember there was this one family from my Lokik, setup. They visited, and the first thing I did was, as soon as they entered the center, I just introduced them to Baba through all the pictures. And then somebody told me that you could have asked for water and all, and then later this could have happened. So I said, I gave them the most important water. Now they can have water later. So they got that introduction, and then later, and many people had many opinions, but there was one soul who later told me that we stayed in Delhi for 7-8 days, but the most important 15 minutes were what we spent learning about Gyan in the center. So you don't know which soul is going to take the inheritance. So just give them Baba's introduction, whether they mind, don't mind, whether to take it, not take it, it's up to them. So this is something that Baba says, and then Baba says that you see, when they know Baba, so which Baba do you have to introduce? Not only the Baba that stays up there, but the Baba who comes and descends in Brahma Baba's body and gives us knowledge. So you have to introduce Trimurti Shiv Baba, which means that not just God is a point of light and you have to remember him in the soul world, but that God has come. The Paramatma Shipita has come and he is descending into the body of Brahma Baba, and he has given the introduction of how the cycle revolves and what are the number of births we take and what time is it, and everything he is telling us through Brahma Baba. So you have to introduce Trimurti Shiv Baba who acts through Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar. So you have to introduce that Baba to everyone, because God is an idea, everybody knows, but God is a reality in our life. So when we say God is my mother, father, teacher, guide, so which God am I talking about? I am not talking about the one who is up there, but the one who is up there and he comes, that one becomes my mother, father, teacher, guide. And when he becomes that, then I can have a relationship with Baba, which nurtures me, which sustains me. So tell everybody that Baba has come. And when they have faith in that, then they start listening to the Murli, and then they get rid of all those, false belief systems that you take the birth of animals and that it's a million years cycle and other things. So they get the introduction that it's a very finite cycle, and that we degenerated from deities to humans. We are not evolving, we are devolving. So in the minds of people there is this programming that it's the theory of evolution, and we were monkeys and we are evolving, and people are very proud of their devolution. So every day the human being is becoming worse and worse, and they think that we are evolving. So Baba says that give them the introduction of Baba, and then through the Murli they would know who they really were, and then what they have become by taking births, and then that this is the end, this is now or never, and this is the time to purify the soul through Baba's remembrance and create divine sanskars by following Srimad. So Baba says that you have to introduce Trimurti Shiv Baba to each and every soul. That is your duty. And then Baba tells us the importance of taking notes. Yes, so you see, we read the Murli every day, but then why are we not able to explain the knowledge that Baba gives us in the manner that Baba explains it to us? So Baba explains it to us in such a clear, lucid, fantastic manner, and there is so much clarity in the way Baba speaks the knowledge. But why are we not able to do that, and why are we not able to come up with the right things to say and the to hit the nail at the right end? Why are we not able to do that? Because we listen to the Murli, but we don't take notes. So Baba says every day in the Murli, take notes. What are the points that Baba is saying? What are the things that Baba is underlining? And then churn over it and fill your mind with, fill your intellect with the knowledge of Baba. And then when you will be able, when you talk to somebody, you will be able to tell them the accurate point which will hit their heart. So Baba says it's very important to note the points, and I have calculated in the Murli at least there are 300 points every day. There are at least 300 points in every day's Murli. And if you just segregated them, you would know that Baba is talking about 300 things in one day. And then when you think about it, you have enough food for thought. And do you know that Baba always says there are two pyres, chitta. When you place a dead body on a pyre, it gets burnt. So Baba says there are two pyres. There is the pyre of lust and there is the pyre of knowledge. So the pyre of lust has burnt all our spiritual energy. And if you want to undo that, then the only method is to sit on the pyre of knowledge. Because when you allow your intellect and your mind to be consumed by knowledge all day, when you make notes and keep churning on what Baba says and keep thinking about the knowledge that Baba is giving, then your intellect has so much satisfaction, your intellect is so happy and fulfilled that it doesn't need sensual pleasure. It doesn't need distraction. It is not wandering anymore. So Baba says that if you took notes every day and you kept thinking about knowledge, because you see, if you don't take notes from every day's Murli, then you get this fancy idea that every day Baba is saying the same thing. But Baba is talking about many new points every day. And out of those 300 points, at least 50 points you'll get new. But if you paid attention, if you took notes, and if you did that, then you will be able to sit on the pyre of knowledge. You will be able to remember the points, explain the points, and by sitting on the pyre of knowledge, you will be able to leave the pyre of lust. So it is not possible for you to get down from the pyre of lust if you don't sit on the pyre of knowledge. And when you have this, this full of knowledge state, then that knowledgeful soul will have the urge to have yoga with Baba and practice purity and every other thing. Okay, Om Shanti.